Well, folks, that's old Buster coming again. It's a kind of a snowy, cool afternoon up here in Yankee Land, but we thought we'd get some of these stories done, have one in what they call a marathon. So, as I was telling you, this is 5 of them that was recorded before we ever started videos. Somebody's got a hold of us and said that they wanted us to put the videos on there, so that's what we're doing. Now, this one is called Sifoddlin Gommin. Now, Jesse and Walter, they're the gomminest and Sifoddlin fellers you've ever seen. They'll put their nose in every nook and cranny and every witchy place and sniff around and ask so many questions of where he at. You could go to dinner and take a nap and come back the next day and they'd still be what Sifoddlin Gommin. Now, like I say, a lot of this stuff, I know you people don't believe it's true, but I'm telling you right now, this little story here, oh, lots of truth in that now. But anyway, we're going to get to reading it for you. Sifoddlin Gommin. Well, Buster done up and took off his old Ford and just decided to just take a look-see for the weekend down Texas way. Well, Buster figured he could get Jesse and Walter and hired to loosen their chores as he had a way with their maws and paws. When he got the boys, they asked him just where exactly they was going. Well, Buster says to them that there was a place that had some kind of exotic animals he wanted to see. And seeing as how Hired always had a hankering to fool with any kind of critter, and Jesse and Walter wanting to stop every 5 minutes, he just knowed they'd be up for this little jaunt and adventure. The place was called the Safari Park and was supposed to have every kind of darn critter you could imagine. Come from Africa and whatnot, and other places. On down towards Dallas way, the boys found a pretty nice little lake. As it was a mite warm, they decided for a little swim. Well, the boys found a right nice spot, shook them clothes faster than body could say scat, and jumped right on in after putting on their swimming togs. They was having a high old time of splashing and a diving and a swimming in the heat of the day when they seed some fellers off a bit a-hollering. Boy, was one of them kicking up a ruckus, I'm here to tell you. The boys all had on their swimming togs and they skedaddled over to where them other fellers was. Of course, they was dripping some water, but they run over her anyhow. The one that was really a hooping and a holler was in some kind of pain, it seemed. The boys with him done dragged him up on the bank and was a-trying to beat something off of the feller. Well, when the boys come up on him, one of the boys hollered to get a stick or a knife or something to help him. Well, now, when Buster, Walter, Hired, Jesse took a look-see, they like to spit out their teeth, I'm a-telling you. A dang catfish done bit on this here feller's private part and just wouldn't turn it loose. True story, folks. Darn catfish went about 3 pounds or so, they reckon. Must have smarted something awful. Well, Buster took off and running back to his fort where he had a hatchet so he could whack that dang catfish to get him a loose from that feller. When Buster got back and run over to whack the catfish, that feller's eyes got bigger than a pie plate, I tell you. He was a holler not to cut it off, just don't do it. Well, all of them there held the feller down. Everybody's wanting to laugh, but you couldn't when the feller's in pain like that, and told him they were just going to whack the catfish. Well, Hired told Buster to let him do it as he knowed how catfish was and where to whack 'em. Well, old Hired just eyeballed that there catfish and whapped him good with the handle, and then whacked off his tail with the hatchet part. That catfish let loose and began to flopping around, and then Hired done him in for shorts, killed him later than a mackerel. That feller was bit up some and a bleeding too, but didn't seem to be in too bad a shape considered the pickle he is in. Them other boys loaded him in their car and said they was going to take him to the doctor and see that he was fixed up right. Reckon that feller won't be skinny dipping any time soon, I tell you. Reckon he learned his lesson about swimming naked and not wearing his swimming togs. Lord have mercy. After all the excitement, the boys got to getting dressed, and danged if Buster wasn't a-hollering and doing the St. Vitus dance like a whirling dervish. He done sit on the stump, and whilst he was putting on his drawers, a bunch of aints, them kind of red aints they have down in Texas, took to biting his behind. Boy, was he ever hopping about. I know y'all don't want to believe it. Oh, but it's true. Well, Walter just done busted out a gut laughing and just fell right down on the ground and rolled around like a dog scratching fleas. Right up there next to that dang stump. What old Walter didn't know was that he was in a poison ivy patch. Learned that a little too late, I'd say. Guess he was paying the price for laughing at Buster so hard. 'Tweren't so funny when he began to scratching. I know, folks. Anyhow, they loaded up and headed for town to get Walter and Buster some calamine lotion at the local drugstore for the ain't bites and poison ivy. Now, normally Jesse and Hire didn't take the laughing out of the feller's misery, but this was just too funny to hold it in. With Walter a-scratching every witchy place and Buster a-squirming in his driver's seat after them ain't bites, it was a sight for sure. Well, the boys stopped for some ribs and fixings at Salt Lake Barbecue. This was a place they'd heard about outside of Austin, and they put one there in Dallas. Well, after a good meal, that's all you could eat too, they was about ready for bed. Of course, Buster and Walter wouldn't get much sleep, but Hire and Jesse said they would. Well, early that morning, Jesse and Hire went out for some apple cider vinegar and oatmeal. They put Walter in the tub with the oatmeal and Buster in the other tub with the apple cider vinegar. Well, after a spell sitting in the tubs, Walter and Buster said they was feeling almost as fit as a fiddle. The ant bite swelling and itching went down considerable, and Walter's poison ivy wasn't quite as bad as they thought it was. Seems he didn't get that bad a dose of it for him for some reason. Well, all of them found a right nice little cafe with grits and gravy, biscuits from scratch, eggs, beefsteak, and silver dollar flapjacks with puckons. There's a lot of puckons down there in Texas. All the boys ate their fill and lit on out to see them critters Buster done heard about. Well, Buster drove them round about 20 miles out in the back country till they come to a sign directing them to a visitor center. Now, some feller met up with them decked out in some kind of African garb. He 'tweren't black, though. Took him to be a Mexican or a Arab or from somewhere, but not anywhere they knowed. Anyhow, the feller give 'em some rules to follow and took their money and told them to take their time and see the critters in the park. Now, Buster was a-driving real slow-like, and all of 'em was a-taking in the sights. They was every kind of animal from Africa or thereabouts, and seeing all kinds of critters such as elephants and rhinos and lions and all kinds of antelope. Heck, there was critters there the boys couldn't even name. Oh, me, folks. Them boys, I've been there and done that. It was hotter than blue blazes in that Texas sun, so them critters must have felt right at home. Now, Jesse up and tells Buster to stop at that bush, a big old bush over there, over the rice, 'cause he done had too much coffee and need a pause that refreshes, as Coca-Cola says. Well, Jesse got on out and was gone for just a little spell, as was to be expected. But then, all of a sudden, he come a-running with this here critter a-flapping and a-pecking at him like a duck on a June bug. Well, Jesse hollers to Buster to get his and gun and shoot the darn thing. It was a-harming him something fierce, he says. Oh, that bird come a-flouncing and a-flapping at Jesse from a tree limb above. That bird must have had a nest nearby or something, 'cause it took a real personal like upsetting all with Jesse a-peeing on that bush. The boys was a-laughing till they was a-crying. Well, as Howard opened the truck door to let Jesse on in, well, about that time, as Jesse dove inside the truck, this dang funny-looking bird come up and latched on to Howard's nose and wouldn't turn him loose. Now, what happened, Howard had rolled his window down about 6-8 inches, and when he jumped in, that bird went through the window and got a hold of Howard's nose. Now, if that didn't beat all, Jesse grabbed the door handle and shut the door and knocked the bird off of Howard's nose. That just had to hurt real powerful bad, but was funny as all get out. Well, when they got back to the visitor center, they told the feller in that African get-up that he had the meanest critters they ever did see. Maybe they didn't take kindly to being took from their home in Africa or some such reasoning, 'cause they sure was fractious around folks driving through. Well, Buster said it would sure be hunting season if they got on him. Didn't matter if he could eat them or not, or what they tasted like. Well, after the boys got on back into the house at Buster's grandpa's place, that's Grandpa Gus, you know, all of them said it was one of the darndest trips they'd ever had, bar none. Well, Buster's Grandpa Gus asked them all how it went down there in Texas. Well, they allowed the food was right good, but the hospitality of them critters wasn't nothing to write home about. First off, the dang catfish done bit that feller. Then them big rat ants done bit Buster's behind. Walter done laughed so hard he fell into a poison ivy patch. One of them peacock critters went to pecking Jesse as he was doing his business. And last but not least, Hired got his nose bit whilst getting Jesse in the truck. Ostrich, they called it. Biggest dang bird Hired ever did see. Hired said if that bird hadn't turned him loose of his nose, he was going to get Buster's shotgun and shoot him dead. Well, old Hired's nose was red as a beet and twice as big. Of course, that wasn't like Hired and his dealings with critters, but his nose sure took a beating, I tell you. Reckon this is just another little ditty in the life of the boys. They do have something up their sleeves, and we'll hear from them real soon for sure. You can bet on it. Soon as all the doctoring and the scratching is done. Now, y'all have a blessed day. Old Buster signing out.